Hello!
Hello AOS fans!
It's the Agents of Embergard.
And in this video we are having a look at the Grandfather's Gardeners.
The second Nurgle Warband ever released, and I think I love these possibly even more than the first one.
How excited are you, Pete?
Very excited indeed.
These are excellent models. If you're going to make a statement Warband release early on for the new edition of the game, these are them.
They are that good that we both want to paint them, and we're going to end up buying another box just so we can both paint them.
Yes, because you don't need to buy another box anymore because you don't get arrived with no spare cards. You only get your War Scroll, no extra cards, which I know you all know, but just in case you've suddenly wandered in for this and didn't know that, you don't get faction cards in the boxes anymore.
So the Grandfather's Gardeners are a 5-fighter warband. They've got 4 main fighters in there, and they've got a little squat as well flapping along behind, which they seem to be doing a lot in the warbands now, having a little pet of some kind, and I really like that. They're a fairly average warband stat-wise. They've all got move 3, 1 shield, 3 wounds for the most part. The boss has 4 wounds, and Squat's got 2 with 2 dodge.
Yeah, and they've got a very even distribution of glory as well.
They do, yes. Phlegmus and Strug, or Struth as I'm going to call him from now on, both have 2 bounty, and the other ones all have 1. So in this case, Squat, the pet, does actually give a bounty.
He does, which is interesting because not many of the other pets don't.
No, he's quite tough because he's got 2 dodge. He's only 2 wounds, but he does also have quite a nice attack on him, so we'll get to that in a minute. But yes.
Yes, and Slunge, of course, is very reminiscent of the In-Betweeners.
The Inspire mechanic on them isn't great. I feel like it might be a problem for them because they only inspire when they're vulnerable.
So you're really not sure about this?
I'm not, because a lot of them start on 3 wounds, so they've only got to take a 2 damage attack, and then they inspire, and they do all inspire to 4 wounds, and we'll come back to that as well in a minute, but it feels bad to have to try and get them nearly dead before you can inspire
them. It's not what you want to hear, is it?
No.
Really?
No, but maybe there's going to be tricks around that, because one of their tricks is one of their warband abilities, which is imperturbable, which is they can take no more than 2 damage when they're uninspired in the same turn. So that is both the activation and the power steps. You can't run in, slap them for 2 damage, and then ping them for another one. It doesn't work like that. So they will inspire it.
Yeah, so that means you kind of feel like that will take them quite a long time to kill them all as well. Yeah,
I think you've got at least 9 successful attacks before you can wipe out the warband.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you might be able to slide in ping in different turns.
Yes.
But even so, it's still, that does make them, I suppose it's very Nurgle-esque. It does make them quite hard to take down.
It does indeed. Their other 2 abilities, the Blooming Plague and Reaper Harvest, are both tied into their little tracker diagram that they've got.
The Blooming Plague is what you get if you cross Raymond Briggs's Fungus the Bogeyman with Father Christmas.
Yay, honk honk. So the Blooming Plague symbol directly ties into their attack profiles, and it also directly ties into this little tracker that we've got here. Now the tracker has 7 spots, and you start at the top at the number 1 spot. And you basically move it on 1 spot after each of your turns, after damage is inflicted on a friendly fighter, or after your turn if your warband holds more treasure tokens than your opponent. So I would assume if it's after your turn and you hold more treasure tokens than your opponent, you would move it on 2 spaces.
Yes, 3 if you manage to somehow inflict damage on yourself as well. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe you were fighting the jaws of Itzel and they bit you back when you attack them.
And every time you move around this tracker, there's a little number next to each of the points, and it starts at 1, and the next one is 1 as well, and the third one is the round number. So in later rounds, that could be 2 or 3. It then moves on to 2, and then jumps onto another one which is a 2, and this one says Reaper Harvest, and the Reaper Harvest ability is you use this immediately after placing your token in this space, and you pick a friendly foe and heal them 1. So you go 5 spots around that tracker, and you can then heal 1 on one of your fighters, which, even though they were vulnerable a minute ago, now they're a little bit less vulnerable.
Yeah, so not only they're vulnerable, possibly inspired up to max 4 wounds, and then you heal them as well. So you've got a 3 wound fighter back. And as we've discussed before, 3 wound fighters are significantly hard to kill in iteration 2 of Underworlds.
You also then move 1 more along, and that count goes up to 3, which means all 4 of your fighters are then doing 3 damage. That is quite brutal.
That is brutal, yes.
It then goes down to 2, and then back to 1, back to the start again, and you just keep going round and round this. So every time you go round and you jump onto step 5, you can heal a fighter. So it keeps going and going and going.
So yes, I suppose that sort of balances itself, because you might have all your fighters on 3 doing 3 damage, but as soon as you charged and hopefully hit with that, or even worse, if you miss with it, then that's after your turn it moves on again, so then it goes back down to 2.
Yeah, or so possibly even 1.
Yes, so you've kind of got to throw your eggs in that basket. That's where you want to save your keen eye cards and that kind of thing, to give you as many dice on those attack rolls as possible.
Make sure you've got a Grievous loaded up by then, so you'll be whacking them for 4 damage. Would be quite nasty. So all the fighters have fairly basic stats: 3 move, 1 shield, 3 wounds. Squat is a little bit different in that he's got a 4 move and 2 dodge and 2 wounds, and his attack isn't affected by the Blooming Plague. His stays at 1. Phlegmus's attack is a range 2 hammer attack with the Blooming Plague symbol, so it could be up to 3 damage, which isn't bad. 3 of the fighters actually have range 2 attacks as well, so they're not too bad.
Range 2 attacks at 3 damage is tasty. It's like, was it Septimus?
It might have been, yeah.
Septimus all over again.
But when he inspires, he just goes up to 3 hammers, so he gets a little bit more accurate, but he doesn't gain any wounds or any defense at all.
3 hammers, 3 damage.
Oh, that's pretty nasty. Struth, he has 3 swords on his attack, and it's a range 2 again, so it's a little bit less accurate than Phlegmus. When he inspires, he does go up to 4 wounds though, and he goes up to 3 hammers on his attack.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, so when he inspires, he'll have had 2 damage on him, so now he's got 2 wounds remaining, so he still needs a good chunky attack to kill him off, so that's where you need all these extra attacks in just to kill them. Slunge is a little less good with his attack. It's range 1, and it's 2 hammers. When he inspires again, he goes up to 4 wounds, and he gets 3 swords on his attack, and he also gets ensnare, so it makes him a bit better for killing off some of those more dodgy opponents.
And the final Plagueis is Drypterus, and he has the weakest of the attacks, only 2 swords, but it is range 2, so he is your extra range 2 fighter. When he inspires, he gets up to 2 hammers.
And again, 4 wounds on him as well.
Yes.
Squat, a little bit different to all the rest, is range 4, 2 dodge, 2 wounds, and he does give a bounty, so people might want to kill him off early, or try to at least, but 2 dodge might make him a little harder.
His melee attack is a little bit better than many of the other creatures, which I suppose is why he's 1 glory. It's 2 hammers, it does 1 damage, but if you get a crit, it does have gain Grievous, so that, it could do 2 damage with him.
Yeah, pretty nice. When he inspires, his stats pretty much stay exactly the same.
But he does move up to 3 swords, 2 damage, and he keeps that crit Grievous, so you've got 3 swords, you've got more of a chance of getting a crit.
Yeah, put him 3 damage then, which is pretty nice.
So I think actually you might think about trying to take him out, but of course he is 2 dodge all the way through, and I feel 2 dodge is quite a lot stronger than 1 shield in this iteration of the game.
I definitely think so. Overall, this warband are a mastery warband, which basically means there's shenanigans going on. It doesn't necessarily mean that they've got any particular strengths, but I think they're going to be a good flex deck.
They do seem very flexible. They can hit quite hard. You've got quite a number of fighters. They don't move that fast.
They don't know.
You've got an incentive to get onto objectives anyway, because if you spin your thing around fast, which is healing your fighters. So yeah, I would be looking to jump onto some objectives with these guys, I think. Utilising
cards that are going to give them some mobility to get them around the board, jumping onto those objectives so that you can spin around on that dial, and giving yourself some extra accuracy and some extra damage on your attacks for when you get to that 3 and 2 stage.
And so you've got to pinpoint your accuracy when you deliver that heavy damage attack.
I do think that this is going to introduce a very interesting mechanic, because your opponent might sit there and start thinking, do I want to attack them and do damage and push it around that scale? Because then they might even get to heal themselves, they might get onto 3 damage, or do I want to leave them alone? But if I leave them alone and they're standing on objectives, then they're going to keep shooting around on the dial again. So it's going to be a very interesting situation for your opponent.
Equally, if your opponent has ping and you're sitting on the heal thing, they could like hit you, and then they could ping somebody else and they could push you on again. So then you completely miss the 3 damage one. So it does offer some interesting options.
And those options may cause your opponent to mess up their own game, and then it means that they're trying to play you at your own game, and you then can try and mess up theirs whilst you're just doing your thing, which is stand on objectives and hit people. Yeah, they do all only roll one dice for defense, which that could prove their undoing. Yeah. But with the healing and the imperturbable ability, they are going to be difficult to take down. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to playing this warband. They're going to be, I think, the epitome of Nurgle. They're going to be slow to take down. They're going to grind you down, and when they get into their element and they get their strength up and their damage improves, they're going to be quite nasty. So looking forward to getting these to the table, perchance? Yes, very much so, in the very near future, hopefully. And if you'd like to see more Warhammer Underworlds content from us, don't forget to click that like button. And click that subscribe button. And ring that little bell so that you can get notifications every time we release a new video. Let us know in the comments below what you're looking forward to with Phlegmus and his grandfather's gardeners. And we'll see you soon in Embergard.